Just me hanging up on myself now. Me just sitting here waiting for people to show up. Is it working? Tomric. Hey, look at that. But Chris, hey, there's like 7 people watching. That's kind of cool. Hey everybody, how you doing? So we're gonna get started in a couple minutes. I was gonna let everybody kind of like get in here. We're still all kind of figuring it out. And we're gonna make a recipe today. A couple quick shout outs before I do that. One, thanks to Tomric for trying to be a little creative around here and trying to not get me to be too bored while we're in the middle of our COVID thing. But you know, we're here just so you know because we provide food, we provide services and equipment and tools and things to the food industry in North America, and we're part of that supply chain. So, you know, we have customers like Wegmans, and we have customers, big commercial chocolate customers. So people like Saris, who I was on the phone with this morning down in Pittsburgh. So we're here trying to help food move around at this sort of new, uncharted time, you know, and you know, we want to be here for our customers, and we want to be here for you, and we want to do as much as we possibly can. And we thought that, you know, we're all looking for something to do, and we're all looking for something to talk about, and we thought that this might be a fun way to, you know, show some new stuff and talk about a new recipe, and really get in tight with, you know, how I think about recipes and how I think about the creation of recipes. A couple of little housekeeping things. So I got an earbud in because I can't read the screen that's on the other side of the room. So, you know, if you have questions, would love for you to type them in, and then one of our sales team, Mike, is on the other side, and he is going to feed me those questions, I think. I haven't heard him in a couple of minutes, so I don't know if he's still there. But, you know, there he is. He's just being quiet for me, so that's super. But yeah, if you have questions about that, and then if there are bigger questions, I'm going to go through at the end of all this, and I'm going to take a look at that. And you know, you can direct message Tomric, and we'll go through and try to help out anything you have. So if you have a question about what I'm doing, or a question about I'm working, like in the middle of it, feel free, or you can come back later and you can do that for us. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on. And we're going to start in a couple of minutes. And all that weird gesturing was at one of our sales team that happens to be here today wandered down the hall, and I had to remind him that he's not supposed to be in the labs because we're trying to keep them clear. I have washed my hands recently and sanitized, but we'll put some gloves on while I'm working today. And you know, we do that anyway most of the time, but we'll definitely do it today and talk a little bit about what we're going to do. So we have already done shells. I did them yesterday. They're not colored, but the recipe that will be online afterwards talks about some coloring technique, and maybe we will do coloring technique next week. The other thing is the recipe, which I have here, will be, I heard, on both on our Facebook page and on our website, which is www.tomric.com by the end of the day. Is that right, Kyle? Hint, 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 hint. Kyle's our marketing guru, so he'll have that up in all the places you need before too long. And then, you know, a couple other quick things. Thanks to our friends at Cocoa Berry, who provided the chocolate for today, and our friends at Boron, who provide me all of our puree while we're here. So the recipe is really straightforward. We've got 300 grams of Guayaquil, which, on a side note, on a personal thing, my beef about what's going on in our world, I was actually supposed to be in Ecuador this week, and I'm not there. So I'm here with you though, so that's kind of cool. So I've got our Guayaquil here, and then to that we're going to add both milk and cream. The reason that I'm using both milk and cream is that I need to keep the fat percentage down in this recipe. that I wanted to keep the fat percentage somewhere around like 32, 33%. That when I found that if it gets much above that in the total fat percentage, including what's in the chocolate, we get recipes that begin to break, right? So we get that fat separation thing, right? And because we're using rhubarb, great color, isn't it? There's no sugar added here, so we were losing solids, or we were losing sugar and we were just bouncing total fat percentage, and so that's why we use milk. So keep in mind that the fat percentage of my cream is like 35 to 38%. This is about 37 if I look at the deck. My milk is only 3%. So I'm able to add some water, because my ganaches need water, obviously, to help balance all that out. So in here right now, I have my pot, sorry. I have milk, cream, I have my rhubarb, and then I'm also going to add invert sugar. My invert sugar is in there for two reasons. It's in there to sweeten this recipe a little bit, because the rhubarb is not particularly sweet, right? It's also there to bind water. It helps with some pressure. There to add shelf life. How's that? It's there to add a little bit of time to protect our product down the road. So I'm turning my induction heater on. So anyway, we have milk and cream. We have some sugar. And we have our rhubarb. I'm also going to add powdered dextrose to the formula. Mike, lots of people are talking and you're not telling me that anybody needs anything. It makes me very uncomfortable. Are we okay? Wow. Who said I was the man? Was it my wife who said I was the man, or somebody from our sales team? Hey, John. So John said I'm the man. John is from Florida, and John has a really cool company down in Florida where they make an awful lot of saltwater taffy, from what I understand. And he keeps inviting me down, and I haven't been there, but I promise when I'm allowed to go on an airplane again, I am coming to Florida, because if nothing else, I'm taking my family on vacation. I saw him on a TV ad, and he hasn't responded to my message that I sent him last week, because I'm sure he's busy, you know, trying to make as much saltwater taffy as possible. But I saw him on a TV ad, and you know, he can tell everybody if he wants to tell them what the TV ad was about. But I'm going to keep that between us. So anyway, so John contacted. Who else, Mike? Megan, who's from Buffalo and is an instructor here at ECC and has a really cool cottage industry. Does like great stuff here in Buffalo. Makes some good cakes and cookies and all sorts of pies and all sorts of awesome things as well. Anybody else? I know, everything's backwards. I'm sorry. I've heard a bunch of people refer to themselves as technological Luddites in the last week, and I've never considered myself like a technological Luddite, but I guess I am, because I couldn't figure out how to flip the iPad so it said Tomric the way that the marketing team would want it to say. So, sorry. But anyway, so we know how my rhubarb is there, right? My rhubarb is in there as a full puree. Obviously, you could use fresh rhubarb for this recipe as well. For my strawberry, however, I'm going to use a product from Pre-Gel. In this case, it is really designed for making gelato or sorbet, but it is a great tool for making ganache, right? So it flavors fat, it adds solids, it adds sugar, all that good stuff. So I'm going to use about an ounce, like my really high-tech scale. It's a whole new world. I can get away with doing stuff like that later. It's about 25 grams. I think that's what the recipe calls for. Okay, call for 15 grams. So it's going to be a little more strawberry than we want. That's all right. I'm the only one that's going to eat it, so follow the recipe when you get it at home. So all we're going to do, I've got the induction heater on. I'm going to bring this up to a steep, and we're going to get to there. And then we're going to pour it over a chocolate, and I'm going to use an immersion blender to mix it all together. The other thing too, I've got Grand Marnier to go in there because I think the citrus adds a really nice little note to the rest of this recipe, but I want to wait to add it. I'm going to wait to add it until my products at temperature don't sort of like vaporize all the flavor. So, hey, Mike, did you see a woman named Gay Simpson log in? All right, well, that's okay. I'll tell the story anyway. So that's my mother, who moved to Buffalo a couple years ago, and we're originally from Philadelphia. And I got asked to do a recipe for the Fine Chocolate Industry Association a couple weeks ago for their winter get-together, whatever, Elevate Chocolate, I think it's called. So I did a demo, and I was going to do a flavor for spring, and I was really trying to come up with what the right flavor for spring would be. And growing up, my mom, Kay Simpson, is a heck of a hot cook, and I someday longed to cook, a flank steak as good as she can, or all those other sort of wonderful dishes that I grew up with. And she was, however, not the best baker, and she'll hate me for telling the story, but I really believe that chocolate chip cookies had like a layer of black on the bottom until I went away to college. But she would make one pie a year, and she would make that one pie a year for my grandfather, and it was a strawberry rhubarb pie, and it would get made at that point where the strawberries came into the farmer's market and were perfect and delicious. And the rhubarb was growing at a family friend's house, and those two things came together in our house, and there was this pie, and there was flour everywhere, and it was a disaster. And we would then take it up to Granny and Grampy's house, and we would have it for dinner, and it was phenomenal. It was one of the best things about that I remember. It's like one of those childhood things, and I joked about that. I was going to stop talking about it the other day because it was going to make me cry, and I'm going to stop talking about it again because it's going to make me cry. But this recipe really is about trying to connect to a different time and a different place. And I think that's some of what recipes really have to be, where I get asked a lot, why do you develop a recipe, and where do you come up with the flavors, and why do you do things that you do? On this one, it's really about trying to channel, being 11 and being at Grandma and Grampy's house and having a slice of pie after dinner. So anyway, but I've waxed enough. I should stop waxing, right, Mike? Cool. And so Mike's just telling me that there were a bunch of people that said hi, that included Ruth and Beth and Rose. Hey Rose, I did get your email. We would love to do a demo with you next week someday. Rose works in sensory for Blummer Chocolate, who's another friend of Tomric's. And let's get on the phone or jibber jab this weekend and see if we can't figure something out. We can do something fun. Speaking of that, we want to do a couple of these a week for the foreseeable future. So if there's things that you want to see or you want to have done, we're happy to do this for you. And you don't even have to tune in live. We're gonna save these and put them on our Facebook page. We're also gonna turn around and put them on our YouTube channel. So my cream and my sort of whatever you want to call this starting to gurgle and boil. So I'm gonna add my Grand Marnier, and because somebody's gonna ask the question, what temperature is it? It's around 85°C. So at that point, we're going to go over our chocolate. And sorry that I don't have a camera above my head to show everybody everything. But anyway, so it is a beautiful color. It's kind of red, looks pretty. Can you do that in your kitchen at home? Can you just chuck stuff under the counter and then it disappears? Isn't that the best? So anyway, what we have in here, everything's here. My chocolate, my cream, my milk mixture. The only things that I have left to go in there is my butter. So my butter's going to go in a little bit. About keeping it room temperature. I don't know how loud this is going to be. Not too bad. Can you still hear me? Hopefully. And I'll talk about why I do what I do with my ganaches in a minute. Whether I burr mix them, or I put them in my RoboTube, or I use a rubber spatula. But I'll talk about that when it gets quieter in here. How's that? You got anything for me, Mike? Mike's talking in my ear. So I'm listening to him, and I'm somebody from Reno. Cool. I'm just hoping that it's a little bit of a distraction from everybody today. I'm sorry, Mike, I was talking over you and the blender, and I couldn't hear you. That's great. Anybody have any suggestions yet for what we should do in the future? So I get that together. And I didn't think I got it in my jacket, so that's a good sign for there. I have my butter, and before, also remember before, I only have like an ounce, I have 25 grams in here. I was talking before about fat, and I was talking about why I added milk. I also have a European butter problem. I love using Fulgura or similar butters. The thing to remember is that they have a lot higher fat percentage. And because they have a higher fat percentage, that's going to affect the rest of the recipe as well. So this butter's at room temperature, by the way, too. So I've got to sort of think about that as I'm putting that recipe together, right? So if I'm using 40% cream versus like 35% cream, right, I'm going to get different results. If I'm using a chocolate that has a higher fat percentage, this actually isn't the chocolate, this is the cocoa berry product that we're using, the Guayaquil. The Guayaquil is around 40–41% fat, right? So it's a higher fat percentage if I were to use a chocolate like this one that is closer to 38%. Right, so as we're going through all those calculations, we're trying to figure that out about solids to fat. So keep in mind that it is important when you're thinking about a chocolate that not all chocolates are created alike. Right, so if I have two 65%, let's say, so I have one from company A and I have one from company B, and I want to use those, cool, like we taste them, we do everything we're going to do, but somewhere along the way we also have to take a moment to look at those ingredient decks on them and look at the fat percentage. I mean, it's really critical because it is going to change your recipes here. It may not change your recipes in your tempering unit, but it is going to change your recipes on the bench as you go to make your ganaches or you go to make other things. All right, so that's important to keep in mind. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add this butter. Why do I add butter? Well, I add butter because butter makes everything better. Like it makes it taste better. But realistically, yeah. I mean, there's a taste position here, but there's also a really big thing about what it does at room temperature, right? So if I'm able to, it'll stay soft at room temperature with cocoa butter that's going to set, right? So I'm balancing fat that way as well. I'm doing a couple things with fat, because it's always about fat, right? So. Sure, I'm ready. Fire away. Hey, we haven't talked about the awfulness yet, have we? I'm going to talk about it for a minute. Is that okay, Mike? Do you think I can do that? About our world? Can I talk about our world? So, I'm going to keep it together. You know, I think we're all scared, right? We're all really scared about what's going on, and you know, I know that my family is, you know, sequestered, and that's scary, and you know, all that stuff. And I think we are around here too, and this was really about, in some ways this was a distraction for all of us. But I was talking to my friend Gabriele yesterday, and Gabriele's in the middle of Italy, and he's up in the north, you know, kind of near Milan and Torino, and working at Selmy, and still coming to work every day. You know, and he was this super positive guy, and we had this great conversation on WhatsApp yesterday about that we're all going to get through this together, and we just have to keep rowing in the same direction. So, Gabriele, thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again soon in better times, because we're going to get together, maybe this summer. What do you think? Turn to go there. I think I came there last. I was there in January, so it's your turn to come back to the States. So, anyway, I'm done waxing again. Mike, your turn. What do you got for me? So Michelle, who said yogurt or cream cheese ganache, I assume you want a recipe for either yogurt or cream cheese ganache, or you just want some thoughts on it. Remember, okay, so it's dairy, right? So if we think about what a ganache is chocolate and fat and water, right? So we're going to build an emulsion. We're building like mayonnaise, if we really want to think about it. So if we use yogurt, we can sub yogurt in for any of those other fats, right? Or we can sub it in whole or in parts. But we have to remember what the fat percentages are, right? And then we have to calculate that back. Otherwise, and we have to kind of know what the water is too, right? But the fat is sort of where I sort of take the main point. But if we're looking for flavor, obviously we don't need to add it all. But if we're going to do that with like yogurt, let's say, we're going to need to add a flavorful yogurt. I won't pick a brand, but I would use something like a Greek yogurt that's got more of that lactic sour thing. That is really why we'd want to have, I would assume we'd want to have a yogurt ganache. So we're getting that big flavor. So I don't know if that's the answer. If you want to see a demo, we can work on. We'll probably do that by the end of next week. What the heck? Should be fun. That's another good spring flavor too. Yogurt. Sorry, Mike. Anything else? So I'm going to assume that Olive is my daughter, Olive, and so Mike's telling me that Olive wants to see a pas-de-fruit demo, and that we definitely can do. So we'll do that next week. Or if we don't do that next week, we'll do it the week after. Pas-de-fruit is jelly, PDF, and for those in the know, right? Usually we sheet it and we cut it on a guitar, and a lot of times we'll add it to another ganache. So maybe we can do that whole sheet and match maybe one day, and then we can cut it and then over a couple days or something. Maybe we can do a couple days of this. So anyway, our ganache is now at 39 degrees, so it's a little warm. I have it sitting on a towel, so I'm going to go directly on the marble to try to chill it a little bit. I don't want to overwork it either. Remember that building a ganache, similar to the way that we're building chocolate tempered, right? We want to do kind of the same thing. So if we've taken the time to build this, we don't want to break it. Which gets me back to why do I use the tools that I use to build a ganache? All right. Like I said, we're building an emulsion. Mayonnaise, bad example if we're talking about chocolate, but it works, right? So we have water, we have solids, and we have fat. We want to stack those up, and so that they hold together and they don't break, right? So if we have too much fat, they're going to break. If they have too much water, you know what happens, right? So we know that we have some challenges with water and chocolate and all of those things, all right? If we have too many solids, and it's not enjoyable, right? So it's finding that balance. All that coupled with the fact that we want to create shelf life, in theory, right? We want to be able to keep this in our retail environment for 24 hours, right? Which is why I added some of the sugars that I added before. The invert sugar was there, and in this case, the dextrose was there for shelf life, finding water, because there was a lot of water in this recipe and there was too much fat. So I needed solids to do all that stuff. Now back to process, all right? My experience is, and I haven't written a paper for MC about this yet, and really have no intention of doing that. I put ganaches together like really two ways. I use the immersion blender that I used before, or I use that Roku, where is it? I'm backwards, so I can tell. That Roku that's like right there, right? No, not the giant duck, but that is an awesome giant duck. What I find is that if I use the Roboku, I get a super elastic ganache, right? Which is really perfect if I'm going to make a ganache that I want to put on the guitar and cut, right? If I'm doing a ganache that wants to land in a praline mold, I tend to use the immersion blender. It's a mouthfeel issue. It's a different thing. It's just trying to get to a different place. So anyway, that's why I do what I do. Okay. Hey, Mike's got some questions for me. So fire away, Mr. Michael. We're going to eat it today. No. My bet is the shelf life at room temperature on this one. Look, I have a recipe balancer which works okay. It's not like I'm testing available water. It's like 3 weeks. You can tweak this a little bit. Obviously, you can add a little more sugar to it. Would help to a certain degree, but there's a decent amount of dextrose in here. I don't have the percentage, but I'll get back to that one. So for me to like respond directly, or whoever asked that question is, we'll figure it out, the answer, a better answer than that. But my bet is it's like 3 to 4 weeks, based on how much sugar is in there. That was question 1. Question 2. You know what? We are going to put chocolate on the marble on Tuesday. How's that? I'm going to do a couple things. So what we'll probably do is we will talk about the process, on my sassy whiteboard back there. We'll bring it up, we'll show kind of my thoughts on that. And then we'll actually put melted chocolate on the table, and we will do a traditional tabling method. And then we will talk a little bit. I can't, like, big joke, because I'm like the shameless NASCAR plug guy. Like, so we sell Selmy chocolate handling equipment, which are temperers, and we'll spend a little bit of time talking about that. But we'll also talk, we can talk about all sorts of different tempering processes. But that's a great idea. And that was on the agenda, and that will be next week. Hey, Kyle, I decided that will be on Tuesday. How's that? Kyle's our bartender marketing team. So he loves it when we make pronouncements like that, because then he can't do anything about it. Because then other people will be upset, you know, and the customer, you know, will be upset. So we're doing that on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. We're gonna do a whole thing on tempering. And maybe we'll figure out how to, like, me to drop graphs and charts and all sorts of other crazy stuff in there. We'll see. I don't know. Like I said, my Ludditeness and I may not be quite good enough by then yet to figure that out. And I'm doing it by myself, so it's hard. But anyway. You got another question for me? Cool. One more question. Mike's got one more question for me. Fire away. What a great question. You know what's funny is that somebody asked us a question this week on our stories, Instagram, I don't know. That's what we have Kyle for. One of our stories was ask the chef a question, and the question is, what kind of thermometers do I use? I have this one. This one is for taking the temperature surface, so like when I'm tempering things. It's one of those digital laser thermometers. Mine is a Home Depot special, because that's how I roll, because it's a $20 solution to a $100 problem, and it's super accurate and it works. So I'm good with that. The other thermometers that I use a probe thermometer, and this one is by Hannah, Celsius and Fahrenheit. Super accurate, really fast. So for things like when I'm making caramel, how to fouille, those types of things, it's super accurate. In regards to tempering, yeah, it's there, but I also, my instructor when I was at the culinary school many moons ago said that in a lot of ways, chocolate's a little bit of black magic, and you kind of have to know it and feel it and love it. And so when I'm tempering, I do that a lot by feel rather than temperature. But you know, we'll throw a thermometer on Tuesday so that I'm right, hopefully. Cross my fingers. Hey, so yeah? Any other questions? 2 more questions, and then I can go back to my recipe. Okay, so this is from Michelle. It says, okay. So Michelle's asking about fat and water, right? So the big number there is about fat, right? And so in there, experientially, like 32, 33% fat, and the total formula is about right. Okay, so then what we find is that water has an adverse effect, relatively low. And honestly, I don't have a number here. If I open said spreadsheet, I have that. And maybe what we can do is, or I can do, maybe we can do sort of a white paper on that and get that posted somewhere to talk about sort of that recipe formula thing. All right, so water's the enemy on a couple of things. One, on consistency in the product, but it's the enemy on shelf life, right? And so that's why we're adding all these other sugars, right? So if we think about table sugar, sucrose is here. Okay, so this is how sweet it is and how much water it absorbs, right? We have sugars that are here, which absorb a lot more water and are a lot more sweet. So we can use less of them, dextrose being one of those, right? The invert sugar not being as sweet, but can absorb a lot more moisture, right? So I'm sure all my food science guys are now like watching me and calling me an idiot, but that's sort of the blind understanding of that. But let's do this. We'll do a little bit on it, and we'll get like some information put up. We'll put it up definitely on our Facebook page in the next couple days, but next week sometime. Okay, so I'll do a more formalized thing. So hopefully that answers the question about fat and water. So Mike had another question for me, I think. And I'm listening. It's from Ruth Kendrick. The available water. So she's asking what the water content is here, because she's trying to get to shelf life. And Ruth, I have a cheat sheet that I haven't done this recipe on, but I'll try to plug it in, and then we'll give the available water to the recipe. So we'll get there. Because, yeah, so, and the reason, so, you know, for people that are in the industry or people that are kind of watching from home, the reason why this conversation is so important is that what people are trying to get to from me and trying to get me to give them is how long this can sit on the shelf, right? So if this product can only sit on the shelf for 2 weeks without getting a microbiological problem, then right, in a lot of ways. Versus if it has a long shelf life, so like 90 days, then it's definitely sellable for the retail world. So my last shameless plug of the day, we said the recipe is strawberry rhubarb. And so when we first did this, we were tasting, and it sort of had one consistency, right? So it had a shell, and then it had a soft center. And when we tasted, both myself and my sister Beth and some other people around here, it needed something. It needed a snap, it needed a crunch. And so we played with a recipe that was like a cookie that we put in it, and it needed a little more flavor. And so we ended up on this product from Sosa, which it's a dehydrated strawberry product. I don't know if you can see it. It's then coated in cocoa butter so that it doesn't absorb moisture. So that it actually stays crispy inside my formula. This solution, well, that noise was awful. Was it awful at home too, as I slide, you know, plastic across, you know, marble? We put a couple of these pieces in the bottom of every mold. And I'm not going to tell you that this product is inexpensive, because it's really not. But it changed this recipe an awful lot. So, and thanks to my friend Amanda from AUI who sent it the sample. I guess I'm going to have to purchase some at some point, but you can, and I don't have to. But anyway, so we're going to put 2 pieces in the bottom of every cavity. Because somebody's going to ask 1556, by 1556, and that's in our line, it's a European import mold. It's a polycarbonate injection mold. 2, 4, 6, 8, 24 cavities from our friends at Chocolate World. I'll know later from the sales team whether I covered every supplier that we use today, and I was able to mention them all somewhere in the middle of this 23 minutes or wherever we're at. So it looks like we're at like 33 minutes. So let's wrap this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 of these in the bottom of every one. I'm going to pipe some Ganache in these, and then we're going to be done for the day. So if anybody has any questions, get them in now. Otherwise, I'm just going to get to work and I'm going to wrap it up, because we're going to try to keep this to 30 minutes. And in my infinite way of always doing it, I've gone long. Because I'm talking. Mike just told me I'm doing great, so I must be doing great. So I'm excited. We've got some things to talk about next week. We've got like a demo and tempering that we're going to do, and then we're going to do pat a flea, which should be fun. Maybe I'll do something with the strawberry rhubarb. Oh, so Mike just reminded me that, somewhere here this is a marketing effort, right? And so we also have an Instagram page. So however you search for an Instagram page on Instagram, which I should know, but I don't, but we just serve it on Luddite. So, and we have some molds for sale, some injection molds for sale on that page right now. So this is cool. It's 30 degrees Celsius. So we're right, remember the thing here is that we need it to be, the warmer we wrap our glove in the pastry bag, the better. The warmer that we deposit our piece pieces are going to be down the road. But if it's too warm, we'll take our chocolate at a temper, right? So in this case, what I've done is I've tried to make this chocolate so that I've made this filling so that it's below that temper point, but still soft enough that it's going to flow, okay? Now I've just lost my scissors. I find my scissors and all is good. Found them. So I had an old boss that told me that the only thing that you're ever allowed to put on the floor is the top of the pastry bag. I'm actually going to go right directly in the trash can because they find their way into everything, don't they? It's awful. All right. And now I'm going to pipe it in. And I think that's just about it for me, but you know, feel free to DM Tomric if you have any questions that you want to talk about, or you can send us an email or do whatever normal. You can actually probably call us too. I think the phones still work, though all I do is talk to people on Zoom these days. You can send me a Zoom invite and we can talk just, you know, face to face. But anyway, hold on. Like 5 more. We're almost done. 1 more. Cool. But that's about it for me and from us here at Tomric. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next Tuesday. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great weekend. Stay safe, okay?